Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we're going to be covering the most powerful Atlas region on the Atlas right now as of this video, and that is Lira Arthain. I'm going to step you guys through the passives, and you guys are going to know exactly why it's so powerful and how to make money from it by the end of the video. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up is Heist. So Heist hasn't changed since the last league. However, Heist is now present on the map device. So you can see here, it's on the map device, it's 6 chaos. It spawns 2 additional smugglers caches in your map. Now, naturally, you have an 8% chance to encounter a smuggler's cache, so this essentially forces 2 of them on top of your already natural 8%. In addition to that, the Heist nodes in Lira Arthain give you a further 10%, giving you basically 218% pseudo if you want to look at it that way. So you have guaranteed 2, and then you have an 18% chance at a third. Now, in addition to that, the small nodes in Lira Arthain also gives you a 40% increased stack size of rogue markers. That's actually very, very good because rogue markers right now are fairly expensive. It's about 1 chaos for 400, and on average, if you have 2 of the smugglers caches in your maps, you can basically kind of guarantee you're going to get about 1,000 per map. So that's 2.5 chaos already straight out of the gate. In addition to that, you can further juice that up using a 10% chance to duplicate contained rogue markers in the caches, and then that would, if you proc once, take you to 1,500 per map. But, obviously that's a 10% chance, but it's definitely well worth going out and getting one of these, in my opinion, if you're planning on farming Heist. But anyway, just off rogue markers alone, you're already mitigating 2.5 chaos of that 6 chaos buy-in cost. Now, in each and every one of the Heist lockers, you're also guaranteed to get at least 1 contract. Contracts sell pretty much in bulk on TFT for about 4 chaos if it's a random lot. If you sell them specifically, you may get less for certain ones, but you may also get more. A good example of this is Deception, I believe it is. The one which gives you additional reveals, sells for about 7 to 8 chaos as it feeds into the blueprint metagame of revealing and then getting additional rewards. So it's actually crazy. You can pretty much pay back the entire cost of the Heist buy-in cost just from guaranteed rewards, ones that you're absolutely 100% guaranteed to get. And with small currencies becoming more and more expensive, I think there's going to be further and further incentive to go into Heist, specifically with lockpicking contracts and stuff like that. Catalysts are really expensive. That's demolition. It's just Heist is pretty crazy right now for the people prepared to do it. And selling them bulk contracts of the ones they want is also going to be very lucrative. Of course, all this stuff is subject to economic shifts. If everyone's suddenly opening smugglers caches, maybe the price goes down, but we'll just have to see about that. So already, let's say on average 4C per contract, that's 8C, and then you get 2.5 from your rogue markers, that's already 10.5C. You're already profiting tons of currency. All right, here's where it gets crazy. The cool thing about Heist lockers is that they have a chance to drop blueprints. Blueprints are generally sold for about 10 to 40C, depending on the type and the kind of rewards they have. An example of one of the lower ones is enchanted armaments. An example of one of the more expensive ones is unusual gems. The price varies. It's much easier to go to the buyers than it is to sell them because the trade website for blueprints and contracts is awful. You generally want to be selling these through the Forbidden Trove. The people running these contracts and stuff like that always put out ads about what they want to buy, and generally you want to just go and sell to them directly. That is the best way to get your money from Heist. And I just haven't done that yet. But generally, the gems is the most relevant one. Then comes the replicas and the uniques, as well as I think that there's, what else? I can't actually remember all of them right now. But yeah, generally they vary in price, and with the gems one being the most expensive one. So blueprints, super duper good. And you also have a 10% chance on a blueprint drop for it to be fully revealed. And you also get 100% increased chance to drop blueprints. So you do get a lot of blueprints. You get a lot more blueprints than average. You have a 10% chance for them to be fully revealed. And then those fully revealed blueprints sell for a considerably higher price because it's actually like they're getting multiple blueprints in one, because it has additional wings, and the way wings work on blueprints is it's essentially a multiplier on how many times you can loot that specific loot type. So enchanted armaments, it's got 3 wings revealed, you'll get triple the amount of enchanted armaments rewards, which is actually really crazy. So pretty good there. Heist is completely egregious right now. You're going to make so much currency off it, it's actually gross. Alright, that's just Heist. Let's get into Blight. So Blight's up next on the chopping block. So Blighted maps, T14 plus, generally range between 40 to 50C right now, depending on the tier. T16s are worth more, of course. But, that's just how it is. But the blighted nodes, when combined with blighted scarabs, give you an absolute truckload of blighted maps, much higher than you would normally get, and as a result is quite lucrative. Blighted maps have actually gone up in price recently, which is pretty interesting, but let's start off with the small nodes here. So the small nodes here give you a 60% in total chance, increased chance to drop a blighted map or oil. So that's basically going to give you more chance at those maps, more chance at more oils, and that's actually really, really powerful. So that basically more maps, which is really, really good there. Next up here, you have just a 5% chance for the area to give you basically a blight encounter when you drop the map. So when you drop a map, it basically has a chance to automatically become a blight scarab, essentially. So 1 in 20 of your maps you drop will have a blight on it as an enchantment, essentially netting you a free scarab. This is the weakest node on the tree, but it isn't bad. Blighted scarabs are fairly expensive, so this is going to give you a quick refund. If you get a map in Lira Arthain, it's essentially like netting a free blight scarab 1 in 20 times, sorry. Next up, we have epidemiology. This is by far the best node on the tree here. This is basically just going to be 100% more chance to contain blighted maps. It's very important that this is a more chance, not a increased chance. So it basically is a more multiplier with the small nodes. So you have 60% chance to increase the blighted maps. So we'll bring out the calculator here to kind of demonstrate. So if you were going to drop 1, you'll drop 1.6 now, right there, and then you drop times 2. So you now drop 3.2. That's over triple the amount of blighted maps that you're going to be dropping in Lira Arthain, which is completely gross, in my opinion. It makes it one of the strongest areas for Blight on the Atlas, with the only other one being Valor's Rest here. But that's a topic for a different day. Next up, we have immune response. So immune response actually isn't that powerful, in my opinion. It does make Blight move a bit faster. It makes them move 50% faster because it's spawning 100% more monsters, but then it's spawning them 150% faster. So if it was just 100, then it would actually be a net the same, because it would spawn double the amount of monsters at double the speed. So basically the same, but you'd get double the amount of monsters. But because it spawns at 150% faster, it actually does give you double the amount of monsters, but a bit faster. So this is a pretty weak node. Generally, you only take this because you want to take Blighted Map and Oil Chance. And it will speed up your mapping probably by like a few seconds max, and it'll make the loot explosion a little bit bigger. But that's not really why you do Blight. To my knowledge, the Blighted Uniques cannot drop off of Blights in the map. So basically, you're going for the massive Blighted Map multiplier. Stacking this with Watchstones is pretty crazy, and it's definitely a strategy which you can pursue if you're looking to target Blighted Maps, and that's something you want to go after. Next up, Breach. Breach is actually one of my favorites here. I've been trying Breach in both Lex Proxima and Lira Arthain. The short end of the stick is that basically Lira Arthain wins. I can give you the exact numbers in another video if you're interested. Basically, I tested everything about it, and Lira Arthain trumps basically the other area. You don't want to do it in Lex Proxima, you want to do it in Lira Arthain, and coupled with Watchstones, it's completely broken. Now, the reason this is so strong is actually just straight up Flash Breach. This is the only node which you might care about. This one node is better than every single node in Lex Proxima, and you can combine it with Heist, which makes it broken. If you don't want to combine it with Heist, you can combine it with Bestiary, or you can combine it with Blight. You basically can pick whatever you want, and you're going to make a killing. Let's talk about Flash Breach. So, if you're not aware, when you pop a Breach, the main monsters, actually the only way to get Breach Splinters is off by slaying rares, slaying Breach Lords, and opening hands. Those are the only ways to get Breach Splinters, and this adds 10 rare monsters guaranteed. So that means that every single Breach is going to have 10 Splinters minimum. Now, the cool thing about Breach monsters is that they can drop anywhere between 1 to 2 Splinters. There are rare cases where they can drop 0, but that is a fringe case in my opinion, and it only seems to happen with Chayula. I've noticed that they don't drop 100% of the time, but this is essentially a guaranteed 10 Splinters. 10 plus Splinters, honestly. They can drop anywhere between 1 to 2, so you can average it out around 15. And it does actually kind of end up being that way, about 15. And that's actually crazy. So basically, you're going to get a fifth of a Breach Stone, probably on average, because you get the hands, you get natural rares, and all sorts of stuff like that per Breach. But the thing that really tips us over the edge is that rare monsters in Breaches can drop maps. And if you get 10 rares, like 10 rares is a lot of rares. To put that in context, there's probably about 15 rares in your whole map. And now you're getting 10 rares in one Breach, Well, you can stack 4 breaches onto the actual map, most likely. You can get Gilded Breach Scarab, and then you can roll Breach for 2 chaos on the map device. It's crazy. You know, and as I mentioned before, you know, if you get 20 splinters, that's already paying back the entire cost of the Zana device, not even factoring in map drops or anything else, which is crazy. Now, what's actually really cool about Flash Breach is it opens the breaches 50% faster and also closes them 50% faster. So one of the biggest complaints about Breach is that it's slow, it's tedious, and it's kind of a little bit gross. I agree with all those points, and this makes it actually feel really, really good. There's always monsters to slay. Actually, it kind of gets to the point where you're running out of time to slay all the monsters versus waiting for monsters to spawn, which is actually perfect, and it makes Breach really, really fun to play. In addition to that, you also get 60% more rare magic monsters. This isn't relevant. I don't believe the magic monsters can drop maps. Actually, I know so. And also, I don't believe that the magic monsters drop the uniques. Now, uniques, let's talk about it. So, Flash Breach obviously adds those 10 rares. It is my understanding that the rares are what drop the Breach uniques in maps. If you're not aware, you can actually drop Breach uniques off of just natural breaches. And because the rare monsters have a much higher chance to drop uniques overall, you're going to get a significant amount of the uniques. Already in my single play session today, I dropped the amulet for Zoth, I dropped the helmet for Zoth, and I also dropped the skin and the loyal. And I worked today, and I haven't done that many maps, so it's actually completely crazy how many uniques you get. You know, there's the skin and the loyal, just to kind of show you guys. Not joking. It's completely broken. Basically, it's actually just absurd. With current breach prices, you cannot lose with Flash Breach, and if you stack any sort of watchstone on here, like Ulmatul, the Splintered, or Chayula, it's actually broken. So very, very strong there. Could not recommend that enough, and you also have 10% chance of just, you know, a naturally occurring breach as well, which is really nice. All right, next up, Bestiary to round it out. Bestiary is popping off right now. With Created Chimeras being the heart and center of pretty much all endgame crafting, there is massive demand for beasts. Not just that, a lot of other beasts are also highly in demand. You know, due to the fact you cannot, you know, dupe the beasts anymore by having 6 accounts in your map, and then also you cannot dupe the boss drops and all sorts of stuff like that. There is actually big demand for pretty much all of the spirit beasts, which are the keys, and also a lot of the crafting components. As I mentioned, there is big demand for that as well. I did a massive bestiary guide in Ritual League, and it's fair to say I've tested this extensively. They did slightly nerf natural selection. However, it was so broken that it's going to be broken still. It's actually just completely absurd how good natural selection is. It's one of those nodes which just pushes everything over the edge, and I understand why they nerfed it, because you were getting like a valuable beast pretty much every single map. Sometimes you were getting multiple. So if it's even close to that still, it's actually broken. And just to kind of really put this in perspective right now, if we go over to the old PoE Profit and check out the Scarab pricing right now, we actually have data, rough data on how much you can expect to make off of Gilded Bestiary right now. And even with no Watchstones and no Atlas passives, you actually make profit running Gilded Bestiary Scarabs on average. And in this sample size, we didn't get a single Pharaoh Tiger Alpha. So it's actually completely broken. Basically, you're going to make an absolute killing if you take those Bestiary nodes and you run Gilded Bestiary Scarabs. It's so crazy. And the added bonus here is, if you have some friends you want to buddy up, you still can do Bestiary Rotas as long as your other friends are humans and they're not old accounts. You can buddy up and run around as a unit in the map and capture the beast together still. That is a viable strategy, and you're going to completely mitigate all of the costs of your Gilded Bestiary Scarabs. And if you're using Krakic lures, for example, you're going to mitigate that as well. Meaning you're going to basically make an absolute killing, and you're going to be really, really rich off the Bestiary stuff, while also being able to factor in any of the other ones that you want to do. Maybe you do Bestiary Breach, maybe you do Blight Breach, maybe you do whatever you want. But, you know, it's pretty damn insane. Honestly, Lira Arthain, it's going to be hard to beat. It pretty much has all of the best nodes in the tree. There's only a few other honorable mentions, like, for example, Heroic Hamlet, which can even come close. New Vestir has a look in, but it's nowhere near as good. It's basically broken, is what I would like to say. And crafting Watchstones for Lira Arthain is probably going to be a pretty lucrative kind of position as well. But Lira Arthain, give it a go. Holy moly, you're going to make a lot of currency there. If you can do red maps there, it's going to be a good time. With all that said, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.